I, for one, am looking forward to see if Aurelien is going to be bringing that Grimmsnarl, setting up the screens, particularly with the light clay, to extend it from 5 turns to 8 turns. It could give him give them the defensive capabilities that they need. We're going to see it, Marcus. It's the King Gambit and the Rillaboom coming out against the Dragonite and the Annihilate.
Yeah, and usually with a team like Aurelien's, you would want to have that Grimmsnarl in the lead so you could set up some screens right off the bat. But that's not what we're seeing right away. Instead, 2 very offensive Pokemon, but 2 Pokemon that Mattia cannot really hit very hard. I mean, we have the multi-scale over on the Dragonite, which, at least for the very first hit, will reduce the damage drastically. And then over on the Annihilate, we have that bulk up move, which is a move that, of course, boosts your attack, but it also boosts the defense. So if that's something that Aurelien would want to go for, it might be really hard for Mattia to do significant damage.
Well, straight away, it's going to be the Terrestrialization on this King Gambit, going to be going into the Ghost typing and dropping any potential weaknesses that it had in its types prior. This does also enable it to be able to work better around this opposing Annihilate. We're going to see the Fake Out go through into that Dragonite. Just make sure that it's not going to be able to move this turn, as Annihilate does indeed go for that bulk up.
Yeah, and Terra Ghost is another one of those new adaptions that we are seeing on this Dragapult team. Now also matching the pace with the Sword Stance, boosting up the special attack sharply, the attacks sharply. So now Annihilate cannot rely on the Drain Punch anymore, of course, to knock out that King Gambit, but it still has that Rage Fist option. And something that could be interesting here is, well, Scale Shot, you could also, in theory, target it on your own Pokemon just to increase the power of Rage Fist. Because, yeah, if Mattia manages to not attack that Annihilate, it will stay weak.
Well, it looks like Mattia is really kind of capitalizing on this King Gambit, going for the Protect to safely switch this Magma on to maybe provide some redirectional support going forward. Annihilate capitalizes on this, though, goes for the second bulk up, getting its attack nice and high and its defenses as well in the face of the physical threat of the King Gambit. Yeah,
there is a Scale Shot, but not targeted into that Annihilate. Instead, we'll go after the Magmar, and maybe with this play, Mattia was actually trying to cover for that self-target and Rage Fist play. So, yeah, trying to play a little bit more defensively, but now it means that Aurelien was able to get up yet another bulk up, and also now this Dragonite was able to boost its speed.
Of course, the Annihilate threatening with that Rage Fist into the opposing King Gambit now that it is that Ghost typing. So that is something Mattia has to work around, and I think that's why it's nice you've got that redirectional support with the Magmar that it's able to provide. It can also go for something like a Will-O-Wisp, try and burn the opposing Annihilate and weaken its offensive pressure as well. But right now, it's just going for that Follow Me.
Yeah, Extreme Speed coming out before that Follow Me, but Dragonite just wanting to do as much damage as possible. Annihilate knows there cannot be any Terrestrialization, just goes for a Drain Punch to knock out that Magmar right away, and that is a nice pick off here for Aurelien.
Yes, King Gambit able to go for the Cowtongue Cleave. It gets a huge amount of damage into that opposing Dragonite, but as we saw as well, that Annihilate can still apply so much pressure going into this next turn, and it is able to move a little bit faster. You have to watch out for the Sucker Punch, though, however.
Yeah, and then now we get to see which Pokemon Aurelien has brought, and it is that Grimmsnarl indeed, so actually now able to bring that on the field and can set up any screens, potentially, yeah, a Reflect or a Light Screen now that we see Primarina join the field, but now is that time where maybe that Haze could come and clutch over for Mattia.
Yes, Haze could come in and reset that Annihilate, so it's less of an offensive threat to something like your King Gambit. I think the Grimmsnarl's in a great position to start setting up those screens. Possibly, if it was me, I'd want to go for something more like the Reflect at this point, because I feel like the King Gambit is the greater threat than the Primarina. But we're not going to see the screen straight away that would be there from the Prankster ability. Instead, the Rage Fist is very angry Annihilate into the Primarina, but the retaliation of the Moonblast is going to do even more damage. That's a one-hit KO, Marcus.
Yeah, big knockout on the Annihilate. No Terrestrialization coming out for Aurelien at all, and also no Haze, but instead, yeah, the foul play. Oh, wow. That will do it. Super effective hit onto that King Gambit, and of course, with the increased attack set on King Gambit, Grimmsnarl sneakily using that power against it and knocks out King Gambit in one hit.
Okay, let's rewind for a second here. I'm so sorry, Primarina. I said you weren't the threat. It's able to get the knockout, and at the same time, focusing on Grimmsnarl, using the screens, that's not its only utility in this team. Like you've mentioned, the foul play there to not only get damage on the board, but capitalize on when your opponent tries to set up as well with those sword stances.
Yeah, Aurelien maybe had an opportunity there to try and go for a Terra Water on the Annihilate to make it through the turn. But now both trainers are down to their last 2 Pokemon, and now it is the time to Terrestrialize. With Rillaboom joining the field, of course, there is the big, powerful Wood Hammer which would threaten both the Grimmsnarl and that Ursaluna Blood Moon. But Aurelien makes a play just like at NAIC in the finals, terrestrializing the Grimmsnarl to Ghost to avoid a potential fake out coming out from that Rillaboom.
Love to see this coming through. Grimmsnarl able to go for the Thunder Wave and slow the pace down of this opposing Rillaboom, as well as adding in the chance that it could be paralyzed and unable to move at all. Ursaluna's going to go for the Blood Moon, but to no avail as it lands into the Protector Primarina.
Will Rillaboom attack through that paralysis? That is the question that Mattia is asking. No, it does not. No chance to get off a big Woodhammer. That could have potentially knocked out the Ursaluna in one hit, but now the grassy terrain is over.
Yeah, so even if it is able to go for that Woodhammer, it's not going to get the additional boost that you would have got from the grassy terrain there. Fantastic play by Aurelien, rolling the dice on that and being able to get what he needed.
Absolutely, and now with the grassy terrain gone, Grimmsnarl could go ahead and just set up the Reflect maybe, or set up a light screen, and Ursaluna will be able to get off a big hit this turn. So Reflect going up, but can Mattia take these attacks by the Ursaluna and retaliate back?
Well, it's going to be some damage coming through from the Hyper Voice. Primarina does have that berry in tow to be able to get a little bit of recovery back up on the field, as it could go for a Hyper Voice of its very own. But again, no KOs this time around.
Oh, and this time Rillaboom gets the hit off, and Woodhammer knocks out Ursaluna. Big hit there for Mattia, and it looks like game one will be his to grab.
Yes, finally the Rillaboom breaking free and kind of being able to get its redemption from that previous turn. Grimmsnarl, we have seen been able to get KOs, but it's not going to be enough at this point in time. The Moonblast comes through, and the follow-up that Rillaboom will inevitably send its way should be enough to be able to get that knockout. Yeah,
really powerful foul play, but Woodhammer gets the job done, and Grimmsnarl is knocked out, and Mattia takes that first game after it looked a little bit scary there in the end game, but yeah, eventually Mattia was able to prevail and take the game home.
That one turn with all the knockouts, I think, was the complete switch around of momentum there. Aurelien, they looked in such a good position, being able to apply pressure with that Annihilate that had set up so beautifully with two bulk ups, particularly as the Primarina being in play wasn't going for the haze there. Instead, it switched to the offensive, and I think that was the right way that Mattia needed to get the momentum on his side.
Yeah, really nicely using that Rillaboom there, which is, of course, a Pokemon that traditionally has been seen in a little bit more of a supportive role, of course, with Fake Out and U-Turn and a lot of bulk, thanks to the Assault Vest. But I think in this regulation, players more than ever have realized that, of course, you can also bank a lot on the offensive capabilities of Rillaboom, using that high horsepower, using the Woodhammer, and probably training their Rillabooms to be a little bit more offensive than traditionally, and that really paid off here in this game.
And we have seen that before. Rillaboom has been known to run Miracle Seed, for example, even sometimes a Choice Band, just to be able to capitalize on the offensive pressure it can exert. But Mattia opting for that more kind of traditional Assault Vest variant at the moment to give it that extra bulk, and maybe give it, if it is going to be in situations where it could potentially be paralyzed, gives it that flexibility to be able to hold on in those critical moments.
Absolutely. And now, of course, the question will be, what can Aurelien do? And, well, I think the answer is there on the team. I mean, Goldango and Volcarona, those would be two alternative options to try and go for. And, well, Rillaboom doesn't do that well into either of them. So, of course, with Aurelien's team and the way it is constructed, I think there is a lot of different options that you can do. You can basically throw all the Pokemon together, and they're all scary on their own, but combined with the light screen and reflect setup, with the Thunder Waves that the Grimmsnarl provides, it can be really, really scary. So, yeah, maybe Aurelien might want to try and focus a little bit more on some of the alternative attackers that they have at their disposal.
My eye is really on that Volcarona. I think it has a lot of potential here, being able to possibly get set up with something like the Quiver Dance. We've seen how damaging that can be in the past, but then it can apply a lot of pressure with that Heat Wave into Pokemon like the Rillaboom, for example. You can also do decent damage into Kingambit and just have some other type coverage for other Pokemon like Kingambit as well, if you maybe go for the Terra Fairy. But the leads are coming out. It's going to be Rillaboom and Kingambit out there for Mattia, and Aurelien, they have gone for Ursaluna and Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, switching it up here for Aurelien, going with a different lead altogether. Now, Grimmsnarl, of course, as we were kind of describing before the first game, is a Pokemon that can set up those screens right away. Now, we have a Kingambit over on Mattia's side, and against that Ursaluna Blood Moon, I mean, Ursaluna could do a decent chunk of damage to both of them, but the Kingambit might just want to go ahead and go for a Sword Stance just like in the first game, but this time around it might not even have to go for that Terrestrialization because, well, the Ursaluna is a little bit more defensively built, and wow, nice play by Aurelien, bringing in the Volcarona into the Fake Out, but no no flame body burn this time around.
I was going to say that could be a risky moment there, but I like this adaptation by Aurelien bringing in the Volcarona. It takes so much damage for its troubles though switching in. Yes, it does have access to that citrus berry to get a little bit of recovery, and the grassy terrain is in play that will be able to help it out, but now it could become difficult for it to set up safely.
Yeah, once again, no burn. I think it was a really nice play there by Aurelien, which could have really turned the battle into their favor right away. But now that both Fake Out and the Kowtow Cleave went in there, I mean, you can set up a Reflect. You could try to go for a big foul play now with this Grimmsnarl, but yeah, with that health being so low on the Volcarona, it's difficult to see a world where it could really set up and get going.
I completely agree with you, Marcus, and particularly when the Primarina joins the field and there's that haze potential as well. Volcarona doesn't want to set up a Quiver Dance and then have it completely nullified in the same turn. King Gambit is going to avoid, though. It is very nimble on that chair, avoiding that heat wave coming through and can retaliate with the Cowtown Cleave that will get the knockout with a critical hit. King Gambit showing you how it's done.
Yeah, Mattia's King Gambit really is determined to win. 2 times attacked into that Flame Body Volcarona. No burn. Now avoiding that heat wave and retaliating back with a critical hit. So, yeah, very nicely done there on Mattia's end. And it looks a little bit dire here for Aurelien. Now bringing in the Dragonite, but with the moveset that Dragonite carries, it's hard to see where that damage should come against that King Gambit.
There is the potential as well, the fact that it is that dragon typing, that Primarina can capitalize on that and go for something like a Moonblast, but it can't do that if the Blood Moon is going to come through and knock it out from the field. So Dragonite is able to breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief here. It has got its multi-scale still intact, but possibly not for long as the Kowtow Cleave comes through and breaks it.
Yeah, finally that multi-scale is broken on that Dragonite, and yeah, nice double targeting by Aurelien, knocking out that Primarina. Of course, there could have been a protect or a switch from Mattia's side, so nice call on Aurelien's end to get rid of that Pokemon. But yeah, once again, now the Rillaboom joins the battle, and it's just very difficult to get a lot of damage down on that Pokemon either.
And knowing the Ursaluna can't protect, the Fake Out was a really safe play there just to lock it down from doing any damage. As the Scale Shots are going to come through on the Rillaboom, not going to be nearly enough to be able to get the KO, but will put the stats into the speed advantage for this Dragonite at the end of the turn. Yeah,
really fast-paced play from both players coming out, and that Dragonite will be even faster after successfully getting off those 5 hits of Scale Shots. But it might be the end of that Dragonite if the Counter Cleave goes into it, but no, it is that Sword Stance, so Mattia taking the opportunity to set up their King Gambit right away.
Makes this King Gambit a massive threat, and now if you're Aurelien, you have to call exactly which Pokemon you want to be able to target down into. The King Gambit on Mattia's side as well does have access to that Protect. It's not running Assault Vest, for example, so you know that you're going to be able to possibly have to call around a Protect here.
Yeah, I think this might be a key moment in the battle. Aurelien hovering over 2 priority moves, so the question will be, will that King Gambit over on Mattia's side decide to go for a Sucker Punch? And then that would potentially be nullified if Aurelien's Pokemon go for those priority attacks, or does Mattia read that, feel safe with that Terrestrialization to Ghost, and just goes for a Kowtow Cleave?
With the Extreme Speed coming through, going into the Rillaboom, actually not catching the now Ghost type on the opposing side. Ursaluna taking a little bit of damage from the Grassy Glide, but is able to retaliate with that Vacuum Wave. It really was the minimal amount of damage needed to get the knockout.
And what does that King Gambit do?
Oh, let's have a little look, see which Pokemon...
It is the Kowtow Cleave. Big hit coming in from Mattia and knockout on that Ursaluna. So once again, nicely played by Mattia. He felt safe there. Going for that Terrestrialization to Ghost, losing the weakness to potential Earth Power or the Vacuum Wave, and now instead going for that Kowtow Cleave and not the Sucker Punch. And now with that support of that Magmar coming in from Mattia, it feels like he might have the support needed for that King Gambit to run through the game.
Yes, King Gambit looking in a prime position with all of its HP remaining as well. It does give it that longevity and flexibility on the field. I really like the Ghost Terrestrialization, particularly considering that Aurelien went for a fighting and a normal type move that would have been null and void going into that Pokemon.
And you would love to get off a foul play into that King Gambit, but the only way to do that is to somehow stop that Magmar from going for Follow Me. And I think Aurelien will do what is the only path to victory that I see for them. Try to go for that Thunder Wave once again. It worked in the first game. You get off the Thunder Wave on the Magmar this turn, and then you just hope that next turn it will not be able to move due to that status condition.
Hey, you've got to play to your outs at this point in the competition. It is a knockout round, so paralyzing that Magmar, potentially stopping it for going for the Follow Me, could then open up an opportunity to attack that King Gambit.
So yeah, will the Magmar be able to move? This is what it comes down to for Mattia right now, and it does get off the Follow Me.
Yes, it's priority as well, so you don't have to worry about the speed drop you get naturally from the paralysis, as well as Dragonite goes for the Scale Shot, but the bulk bulk of this Magma as well, going to eat this up.
So the question really is, how much damage can the Grimmsnarl do? I think that this turn, potentially the Dragon Knight might be knocked out, but with that scale shot and maybe a couple of more foul plays, I mean, in a 1v1 situation, that Grimmsnarl still has the big typing advantage over the King Gambit, so actually maybe with foul play, it's tough, but maybe there is a way for Aurelien to still take home the game. I mean, Grimmsnarl, usually it isn't a support Pokemon, but maybe in this one, Mattia is not out of the woods yet.
I think it just got a whole lot more difficult, though, the fact that Dragonite has gone down. Grimmsnarl, with that foul play, though, is going to be very formidable if it's able to find its mark. King Gambit actually protecting on this turn. Magmar maybe will have a little trick up its sleeve.
Yeah, it might try to go for a Will-O-Wisp, but nice call on Aurelien's, and going for that for that foul play, and Magmar is paralyzed. So this turn, Aurelien will probably target into the King Gambit, and Magmar will need to go for a foul play, and then we might end up in a 1v1 situation. So once again, yeah, this game is not over.
Magmar going for that follow me, has successfully been able to draw in the foul play that Grimmsnarl is going for. It's not enough to get the knockout, though. Magmar just able to hang on as King Gambit can go for the Cowton Cleave, but look how little damage it's doing, Marcus.
Yeah, not a lot at all, despite this boosted attack set on the King Gambit. Of course, Grimmsnarl with the 4-time resistance to dark type attacks. Okay, once again, this time you have to call. Magmar protects. Where is the foul play going? And I think based on the reaction, we know it's going into the Magmar's protect, and this will be another big Cowton Cleave coming out from Mattia's King Gambit.
Fantastic play by Mattia here. You can see the reaction from Aurelien, but I still think one more Cowton Cleave is not going to get it. You need 2 more or a critical hit.
Yeah, but then the question is, well, next turn you could try and go for a Reflect or a Thunder Wave, or you could try to go for a Sucker Punch on the King Gambit side. So there's still some mind games going on, but okay, let's see it this turn. Foul play should knock out that Magmar finally. And then how much damage will King Gambit be able to do with a Cowton Cleave?
Very impressed this Magmar kept breaking free from this paralysis as well to help out its trainer, but all eyes fall onto this King Gambit with the Cowton Cleave, able to find its mark, but it's not enough.
Wow,
17.
And Aurelien has their tournament life on the line. Need to get this prediction right and then maybe get a couple of turns in their favor. Okay, this is the Protect, just to scout out. That is very safe. Nothing will really happen this turn. Reflect doesn't really help you at that point anyway. So the question is, do you try and read the Sucker Punch and go for a Thunder Wave? Or do you try and read the Cowton Cleave and go for a foul play?
Oh, it's difficult. It really, really is. And you can see Aurelien taking every second potentially open to them to be able to make this decision. I think it was on the last time they went for that Thunder Wave, but are they going to roll the same dice twice?
So if you go for the Thunder Wave, the thing is that you will probably need to get a little bit of luck here and there. Because you will probably eventually you have to attack, and that will always open up the opportunity for a Sucker Punch. And it is paralyzed. Okay, but based on the reaction of Mattia, I think he was trying to go for a Sucker Punch here. Yes. So probably didn't matter. But now the question is, well, would you try to go for a foul play this turn? And it's every VGC player has probably been in this spot. The opponent has Sucker Punch, and what do you try to do? When do you attack? When is the right time to do it?
I love how Aurelien is going for these status moves that means Sucker Punch will fail. Mattia maybe slightly on edge at this point, has been so in control of this match, but now it is Aurelien in the driving seat.
Well, it's so tough to call. I mean,
mind games.
How often will you want to try and go for status moves before finally attacking? King Gambit, paralyzed, where we will never know if they were going for that Cowton Cleave or the Sucker Punch, but it looks like this time, this is when Aurelien wants to go for the Sucker Punch. So this will decide the end of the battle. Will there be a Sucker Punch, and will it hit through that paralysis? Let's see there. The Sucker Punch gets off, and it is enough for the knockout.
Oh my goodness, Mattia and that King Gambit coming through right at the end to take this set 2-0. I'm shaking, Marcus.